This clip is about how to export or bounce your timeline as a single stereo audio file. First, we set our in and out points. The in point is always set already, and that is if I position my cursor right up here by the 1 and click, there we go, there it tells me the start point is 11111. That corresponds to how many, the first beat of the first bar of the first division of the first tick. And our out point, if I click on it again, is 901111, which is all the way over here. As you can see, our project finishes around 41. So what we don't want to do is bounce a whole pile of nothing at all. So I'm going to trim the end point to approximately the end. I'm not going to go tight up. I'm just going to leave a little bit of space. Okay. So next we go to File and select Bounce. So click on File, scroll down to Bounce, and then select Project or Section. Command B is the shortcut for this. So I'm going to click on this. I'm not going to go into all kinds of explanations about why we're choosing what we're choosing in the bounce options box here. But the first thing that we always do, we always select PCM, never MP3, and certainly none of these two. PCM stands for pulse code modulation. It is uncompressed full frame audio, just like Apple lossless really. It's a different format, but it's the same thing. It is uncompressed. Start point is 1111, end point is 42 as we set up here. I'm going to select offline. When you come to do your final bounce of your final project, select real time. Real time means that it takes the length of the project to render, so it renders it in real time. If you want super quality, you can click on bounce second cycle pass. So it means it'll play back the whole of the design, and then it'll cycle back to the beginning before it starts the bounce. And that is super high quality. I can't believe you would ever need it. I never use it. I never use it. I can't tell the difference. In fact, I can't tell much difference between the offline and the real time. But when it comes for assessed work, just bounce it in real time. If it's a 5-minute design, it'll take 5 minutes to bounce. If you have bounce second cycle pass, it'll take 10 minutes to bounce a 5-minute design. Anyway, I digress, as I promised I wouldn't. So I'm going to take that out and I can select offline. Most of the time I do offline. Even for my own work, I can't really tell the difference, but I've got old ears that have headphones on them for, oh God, at least 40 years. So maybe my hearing isn't quite as acute as yours will be. Anyway, offline. I always tick the include audio tail. As you can see, I've left a bit of a gap here because I didn't want to go tight up. And this basically is what I've actually done. I've left a little bit for an audio tail, but I always tick it anyway because it can't hurt. And what an audio tail is when the sound finishes, but imagine there's a lot of reverberation or a delay or some kind of effect that continues the sound as it slowly decays. You don't want to be chopping that ambient off. So it'll continue bouncing until the audio tail has finished. If there is no audio tail, it won't bounce it. I never bother include tempo information. Normalize, I always select overload protection only. So if you've overcooked the mix in certain points, it'll just compress that signal down to below the distortion level. It is not a magic solution. It's only if it just peaks a little bit above. It's a bit of a safety net, but it doesn't compensate for a mix that's much too high. File format AIF, you can select AIF or WAV. WAV is the PC format and it reads on Macs, and AIF is the Mac format and it reads on PC. So either one is fine. Resolution is always 24-bit. Sample rate is always 48. File type is always interleaved. Dithering is always none. If you want to listen to what you've done by putting it on your phone, just click Add to Music and it'll shove it into what used to be called iTunes. And I tend to do that when I'm working on personal demos and I'm walking my dog around the park. I'll do an offline, add to music, and then I can listen to my track obsessively as I walk around the park listening to problems with the mix and seeing what I need to adjust and improve. And that might be a process that you're engaged with. So if you want to do that, you can click Add to Music. Don't worry about Add to Project right now. Okay, so there we are. It's all set up. I'm offline, PCM. My start point is at 1. My end point is at where I've set it. I've clicked include audio tail. I've got overload protection only. My file format is AIF. My resolution is 24-bit. My sample rate is 48. My file type is interleaved. I do not have dithering. So now I'm going to click OK. Next, save as. So I'm just going to put my music track. Try and be quite descriptive about this, because you might be bouncing lots of files when you get further into your undergraduate career, and it's good to know what you don't want is Untitled 1, Untitled 2 or anything like that. Just be descriptive in your titling, in your save as. I'm now going to navigate to the space I want to navigate to. So I'm going to click on my work hard drive. I will create a folder if this is an ongoing project, but for now I'm just going to bounce it directly in because this is just a demonstration. And when I'm happy with that, my music track, bouncing it to the location that I want to do it in, I can go bounce, and it is bouncing. And there we have it. We'll check that in a minute. So you might be looking at my timeline and thinking, well, you've got 2 blocks of sound with a big gap in the middle. What on earth are you doing? Well, basically the second block is exactly the same as the first block, and I just pasted it to describe another process you can do, which is bouncing a sequence or a part of your timeline. You might not want to bounce the whole thing. You might want to bounce one element of it. So again, my endpoint is the same, but I want to change my endpoint to bar 25. I'm not going to do it using this. I could drag that, but it doesn't work very well. So I'm just going to do it in selecting it when I come to select the bounce options. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Bounce, Project or Section, exactly the same as before, except on this occasion, I'm not going to start at 111. I'm going to drag it up to 25, like so. There we are. And now it's just going to bounce this. Offline, include audio tail, overload protection only, file format AIF, resolution 24-bit, sample rate 48, file type interleaved, dithering none. Okay, my music track from bar 25, and bounce. And there we are. It's just bouncing that little bit there. And there it is. So if I just minimize, well, let me just go to my Finder, go to my work, and there we have it, my music track from bar 25 and my music track. And there you have it. That's how you bounce your timeline from Logic as a single stereo audio file.